everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So this video I will be talking about how I applied to become a provisional psychologist here in Australia. So this is in transition to become a registered psychologist. Just a disclaimer to all of you that whatever I'm sharing in this video today, it is solely based on my personal experience. Things have changed a little right now. It's more online, which is awesome. So I will just take you through what my process was like, what I had to do, which is pretty similar what you need to do now, but it's just that more towards uploading things online compared to how I had to do it. But also know that whatever I'm sharing is based on my knowledge and my experience. Please don't take it to word. I will be also showing where you can receive all this different information on the AHPRA portal. So you're going to hear me say AHPRA a lot. What AHPRA stands for is Australian Health Practitioner Regulation Agency. That's what AHPRA stands for. So when I had to submit my documents and everything, I had to go through AHPRA, and you will also have to go through AHPRA. So some people might be confused. And what is Australian Psychological Society? So APS, Australian Psychological Society, they have their own role that they play. But when you want to become a registered psychologist in Australia, you go through AHPRA. So whatever documents and all, you upload it through AHPRA. Alright. First things first, why am I saying that I'm a provisional psychologist when I'm a clinical psychologist back in Malaysia? So in Australia, no matter which country you're from, where you're from, as long as you're not from Australia, if you studied in a different country, you have to go through this transition pathway to become a registered psychologist here in Australia. So not a clinical psychologist, right? Because to become a clinical psychologist, that's a different whole thing that I have not really dived into right now. I'm just focusing more on becoming a registered psychologist. So what is required of me is that because, one more thing is that the reason why I'm able to go through this transition pathway, that's because my studies, so my degree and my master's is equivalent to a 6-year study of people who study in Australia. So that's the reason why I'm allowed to go through a transition pathway. However, if let's say you did any of your degree or master's in a uni that is not fully accredited by Australian studies, they might need you to go through a different pathway overall. So from what I know, there is the 5+1 where maybe your degree is equivalent to a 5-year study but not a 6-year, because the 6th year is actually the research component of your study. So I did a research for my degree and also my master's, which I believe is what got them to approve my 6-year study. I'm not exactly sure, but I think so, because that's one of the most important components. So because of that, if let's say you did not do research in your degree or your master's, so you might be sent to a different pathway instead, which I cannot advise because I don't exactly know. So my transition pathway, what is required of me is that I need to complete 210 hours of supervised practice. So what I do is I am employed in a company where I'm allowed to see EAP clients. So EAP stands for Employment Assisted Program, where the clients, the company sponsors the clients and then I'm able to see them. But I can't see clients who are under Medicare, which is like the government medical health thing in Australia, because I'm not fully registered yet. So yes, I need to complete 210 hours of supervised practice. I need to have at least 6 hours of supervision, 12 weeks of practice, and the most important part is to complete the NPE exam, which is the National Psychology exam, which is the frustrating part, and which is why this video took so long for me to record, because I have been preparing for the National Psychology exam. That is something I might not dive too deep into. It might be another video once I get my results, or at least I can talk more about it then. But for now, I'm still waiting for my results. I just sat for the exam. So that is the important thing that needs to be completed before I can apply for my general registration. So this is the pathway I'm on to now. Now today I am going to just walk you through the documents I had to upload, the things that I had to do to get this provisional registration. Alright, so I'm going to be sharing my screen. This is the first time I'm recording this way. Please excuse me if it's not very clear, or I'm still a rookie, newbie. So feel free to, give comments, questions, anything. Alright, now I'm gonna show you the form that I had to fill up in order for me to apply for the provisional registration. As you can see here on the screen, this is the form that I had to fill up. So it's called AHPRA 76, which is the application for provisional registration for overseas qualified applicants. So what I had to do was actually I had to print out this form and then I had to fill it up. But of course, thank God at that time I didn't have to mail these documents. I just had to upload this whole document on AHPRA's website. But thank God now they've actually transitioned everything to online, so you don't need to print out these forms. But you might need to, print out your supporting documents, get them certified. So I had to certify them through a lawyer. So I had to bring my documents, my original and the photostated one, to a lawyer, and they have to follow like word after word from what AHPRA's way of certifying a document. So it's different for passports. They have different wording that the lawyer has to write and also stamp, and then they also have different wordings for just plain documents without photo. So this is something, all of this you can find on AHPRA's website. Now I'm gonna bring down, so this is, in section A is just personal details. I hope you know your details. So then you fill them up. Now we're moving on to section B. So I think it's important that you note this, right? Are you applying for registration from outside of Australia and unable to provide evidence from each category? This would definitely be the case if you are applying from a different country. So, so that most probably, right, when you're overseas applicant, you wouldn't straight away come here and then you apply and then you see what happens. So this is what I had to do. And I would say this form is pretty clear in the sense that, as you can see here, it says yes and then the arrow goes down. So as you can see, I had to upload my foreign passport here. Then, and also, can you see the part where it says certified copy? So this is the part where you bring it to a lawyer, then get them to certify it for you. Let me just okay. Alright. Now it says that then you go to section C, which is here. Section C, right? But what I did, because I applied for my registration after I got my visa approved, so I was able to give some of these documents, but they still felt like I needed to give more. So then I had to also give my marriage certificate. Just an information for all of you, right? You just upload, fill up as you can. When the time comes where they feel like, okay, your document does not have enough information, they will always reach out to you. So what will happen is that once you put in your application, a caseworker will be assigned to your case, right? And then that caseworker will go through and reach out to you if there's any clarification, any extra information that you need to upload. Now, so you just go to section C, again, your contact details, your residential address, all this just stuff. Okay, now, will the address of your principal place of practice be the same as your residential address? Now, you have to, let's say, the thing is, because you will be in a different country at that point of time when you're uploading this, so just put your own place, like where you're staying in that moment. And then you go down, your mailing address. Now, this one, right? All your qualifications approved by the board. Approved by the board. So for this, you have to pick no, because at this point of time, if you have not gotten your degree or master's from Australia, so of course they have to go through it for you. So then you go through the details of your qualifications. So as you can see, these arrows says no, you have to go to the next question, so you go here. So you have to make sure that you start with your most recent qualification, which most probably be your master's, and then you fill up all of those, and then your degree, which is the two most important ones. Now this is the part I said, right, where might contribute to you getting a 6-year equivalent qualification, where they ask you about your research project. So what I did was I provided all the details of my research project. I also included my research project when I uploaded the document. So I'm like, you know, this is the proof that I have done my research project, so they can also read through and see if I've done enough. So that's something that you could do also, just upload your research project. And then here, you know, when you do your master's, when I did my master's, I had to go through internships, which is placements, for I think almost a year, yeah, more than a year for sure. So then you just write which are the, you know, placements that you undertook, who was your supervisor, how many hours. So this way they can also see that you have done enough hours, that all you need is just a bit more few hours to just go through the transitional program. Now then, here is, has Australian Psychological Society, if you've done it, I think in the 2 years, I'm not sure, if you've ever sent your degree or master's cert to APS for assessing, and if you have received a results, just upload them, you know, no harm, it doesn't matter. If you have that extra information, that's great. If not, it's okay, don't worry, because AHPRA will do it for you. Now, this question number 14 is no, because you're not trying to study here, you want to come and, you know, become a registered psychologist. So then, as it says go to section G. So now here is section G again. You have to, if you believe your qualification is equivalent to a 6-year Australian accredited sequence, you do not need to complete this section. The information can be provided later if necessary. Right, this is because you would have put it in here. Alright, so because of that. So yes, and then once you've settled this, so you don't need to do the same thing again here. Now you can skip this. And okay, now this is the work history part, where you have to, you know, if let's say before you apply for registration here, you have worked, or even like starting from your degree. So what I had to do was that I had to start from the internships I've done, because all of that actually counts to the experience that you've had. So I had to put all that in a template. They actually have the template online. So you put in all your details in the template. So starting from internships, and if let's say there are gaps, right? Gaps of where you are not working. So for example, after I finished my degree, I worked for a year, and then I was doing my master's. So there was like a 2 years gap, right? So I had to actually write a note there. Why is there a 2-year gap? Why did I not work? So then I put there, okay, 2-year gap from this date to this date, because I was doing my master's, right? So that's something that you need to do, like account for the times where you were not working. Next, registration history. So if you are registered in a different country, so as for me, I made sure that I got my registration in Malaysia first. So because of that, I had to put yes here, which I think will also be helpful, because what they will also request for you to do, which I found out the hard way, but that's a story for another day. So what I had to do was actually get the Malaysian registration, which is Allied Health, to actually send AHPRA directly a good of conduct certificate, saying that okay, this person does not have any, you know, bad records or whatever under Allied Health. So that's why it's important that you put your registration details here. So now is basic stuff like criminal history. So for criminal history, you need to provide a international criminal history check from an approved vendor. So if you actually go online and be like, okay, criminal history check for AHPRA, anything, which as you can see, they have the link here. Just go on that link and yep, there you go. If you go on this link, then you can do the criminal history check. So for whichever country that you've lived for more than 6 months. Oh, I need to go back. Now after that you go to, okay, this is one important one, which is the English language competency. I did IELTS, so just watch lots of YouTube videos before you go for IELTS exam. So remember, I think before you even start your application, I think it's important you do your IELTS first, because I think now they have set like a 90 days. They will only store your information for 90 days, and then after that they will delete your information from the AHPRA portal. So it's important you do these things where it takes some time, and then you start your application. Alright, once you've put in your English test results, and then you just have to answer all these yes or no questions. So just read exactly what they are asking, and then you just answer accordingly. And as you can see, the places where they've asked you to attach documents, then you just attach them. Now once that's done, this is the amount I had to pay. I'm not sure exactly what is the required amount right now, and it's different for different states that you apply in Australia. Now after that, finally I had to do like a checklist and like tick what are the documents I've attached. This might not be the same since now everything is done online, so just upload the documents needed. Right, that's the end of the document. Alright, I know that it's a long process, but you just have to do it step by step and one day at a time. Just slowly go through it, slowly go through the information you need to upload. But just remember, the important thing is that IELTS is important. If you most of the time, if you've done a degree in Malaysia, you have to do one English test. If I'm not mistaken, you can do PTE or IELTS or any other approved English test. So, and for IELTS, if I'm not mistaken, you have to get a minimum of 7 overall. And once you've done that, then you can start this application. Right, now that being said, I'm just going to show you where you can go on the AHPRA portal to get more of this information. Let's get on that. Alright, so when you go on AHPRA website, this is what you're going to see. Then you go to this part that says registration, and remember you are an international applicant, and that's what I'm giving you information for. Right, you click international applicants, then you go down. So if you scroll down, then you can see here Psychologist. So this is where all the, this is the pathway, what you have to do. Now if you go here, you can apply for registration. So how to apply for registration? You need to create, you go to AHPRA portal. Then you have to, signing up for the first time. So for example, what happens is that, I can log in to AHPRA portal. So when I log in, okay, here, so because, I'm provisionally registered, so you get your number here and registration details. So what you need to do is you click apply for registration. So because I'm already registered, I can't do, psychology registration anymore. But you can see all this, and then you press next, and then you click. So here you should be able to see Psychologist, and then you click that and you follow through. You go next and then next and next, and just follow exactly the information they ask you to upload. So that would be it. This is where on the AHPRA portal, I'll put the link down in the description below of the AHPRA portal, so you can go and see all the information. Remember that you have to click overseas applicant, because it's different from if any other applicant. Okay, that's all for today. So if you guys have any other information that you need, you're confused, you're not sure what direction to take, any information you need further clarification, feel free to reach out to me, or you can just ask the questions in the comments, and I'll try to address as many questions as possible. Alright, I hope this has helped you. All the best in your application. See you guys soon. Bye! Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. Now bye!